Hi guys, welcome to my channel, Popcorn and Gore, Grindhouse. I'll be going over some of my awesome 50s and 60s sci-fi classics. We'll be going over a massive wheel, all my classic sci-fis. This is going to be the sci-fi portion, guys, of my total sci-fi collection. Well, some of my sci-fi collection. I have more downstairs plus VHS. So we're going to go ahead on and start off with the Outer Limits. All right, guys, this is my season 1 of Outer Limits. Talk about classic TV shows. This is one of my classic TV shows. And I opted for season 1. I had it for a while. I didn't want season 2. I only wanted season 1. So we're going to get in deep with the Outer Limits. There's nothing wrong with your television set. All right, guys, Outer Limits. We got this 1. This 2. This 3. This 4, this 5, this 6, and this 7. So we're going to briefly go over the booklet of the classic TV show, The Outer Limits, and go over some of the episodes, and I'll tell you guys why this still remains to this day one of my favorite TV show classics from the 50s. There's nothing wrong with your television set. There's the date. September the 16th, 1983. I'm sorry, 1963. September the 16th, 1963. This is the golden age of television, guys. I remember the first time I saw this, I was like, wow, this is totally amazing. There's a shot from the 6 finger. A galaxy beam. It's one of my favorites too. Also, those little creatures you see, it was kind of like a story behind those creatures. The aliens that created those creatures, they became annoying to them, and they wanted to kind of get rid of them. And they didn't want to exterminate their own species since they created them. So they dropped them off on Earth. And because they knew that man was geared towards exterminating themselves. After all, we had previous wars throughout our civilization, and they dropped those creatures off and sort of pawned them off on us, and then what we ended up doing was destroying them. And it helped the aliens out because they were like they didn't want to exterminate them themselves, so they got us to do it. And then at the end, the alien says that we were masters of destruction, of extermination. I was like, wow, that was very serious. So they knew we were going to take care of them anyway. But those little things were pretty evil. So this will be my sci-fi portion. This is going to be the fun time because I love sci-fi. I'm mainly a horror dude, but I love sci-fi. And I love just about all the genres, but I mainly collect sci-fi and horror and sleazy Euro trash exploitation films from the 60s and 70s. I do also have silent films too also from the 20s and the 30s. But brief history of the golden age of television. So we'll be going over some of my favorites since I grew up on this show. I was born in the 70s, so you know, coming up, this was like the hottest thing on television. Next to Dark Shadows, anyway. It's another one of my favorite skits, episodes, too, also. Some of the amazing work that they put into the creatures, man, they really, really did a good job. Because I'm a huge fan of Ray Harryhausen, too, also, his creatures, too, also. But these guys were really pioneers in making some of these creatures look really, really nice. And then with the special effects along with the lighting, it really did make this show the ultimate on television. There's a six finger. The man with power. It was funny though too also because he was like, I can destroy you. She was like, you can't destroy, you can't do nothing. You don't have any power. Donald Pleasance was crazy. He was like, I can destroy this whole room if I wanted to. And then he destroyed the fucking room and she was like, I do whatever you want to say. I do whatever you want to do. You can have company over, you can do whatever you want to do. Are you gonna kill me? He was like, I don't know what I might do. I was like, what the fuck? The Architects of Fear. And there's Martin Landau in his character. The man who was never born. Orbit. And the human factor. They really put this book together really, really nice. And they had it in mind for the collector too also, which was pretty cool. Corpus Earthling. Nightmare. It crawled out of the woodwork. Borderland. Towards Attraction. This was funny too also. They carried that creature all around and it was crazy because all he wanted to do was go back to where he belonged. They took him, and you know how they demand do when they find out there's something that they can use, man. They just kind of like just went on and had that creature all taken away from his elements and all that. And we have the Yanti Misfits. We have the Mice. Controlled Experiment, which is my favorite too, Ultra, featuring Curl O'Connor. Don't Open Till Doomsday was another one of my favorites. This whole thing was my favorite. This is why I chose the first season. Invisibles. Bolero Shield. Children of Spider County. Specimen Unknown. This brought back a lot of memories too also because it brings you back to those days of the old 50s sci-fi classics. And see, if you see the date on there, 1964, some of the inspirations they had from the early 50s sci-fi. Second Chance. Moonstone. The Mutant, which was also funny. And The Guest. Fun and Games. The Special One. The Feasibility Study. production and decay of strange particles. And you could tell these guys were into physics and stuff like that, and biology, because a lot of this stuff was basically a lot of physics and mathematics and calculations and all that kind of stuff. So you can tell that the special effects team had some kind of knowledge of physics and biology. Got the chameleon, which is my favorite because I'm into physics also and biology. The forms of things unknown. And we now return control of your television set to you. The Outer Limits, one of the greatest shows. All right, guys, so we have Michael Rennie, The Day the Earth Stood Still. Another one of my favorites, too, also. We're going over my classics. So we have The Day the Earth Stood Still. And Go the Robot was totally awesome, too, also, because all he did was just sat there and just had his fiendish powers ready to just destroy the whole planet. The Day the Earth Stood Still. Then also we have Forbidden Planet, Leslie Nielsen. So we have Francis and Walter Pigeon, and all the rest of the guys. Totally awesome. Got a Robbie the Robot. It's totally one of the badass classics too. Also, definitely one of the badass classics. And I grew up watching all these movies, and I wish I had a chance to go to the drive-in to see these features. So this is the reason why I kind of started my own channel in honor of these great classics. Forbidden Planet, Leslie Nielsen. Then we also have next up, Devil Girl from Mars. Her name is Noir. Played by the beautiful and talented Patricia LaFont. One of the totally awesome classics ever made. Then we also have next up, From Hell It Came. And the creature's name is Tubunga. Tubunga is resurrected due to the fact that one guy was killed, and he exacted his revenge, and he wanted to make sure that they were all cursed too. So he brought upon the curse of the Tubunga. And then the tribes up in the hillside know that this Tubunga can't be killed by mortal man. It literally had to end with the person who resurrected it. Since this creature's hate equaled the person who was killed, who exacted the revenge, it made it that much fiendable. From Hell It Came. And also we have The Green Slime, which is another one of my favorites too also. I have tons of features of Sci-Fi's, and I try to collect a lot of Sci-Fi's that I pretty much like a lot of Ray Harryhausen stuff. I do also have a lot of it on my ROM too also. So I just want to go over some of my Phoenix classics. And then also I do have this Sci-Fi 4-pack, Arena, Eliminators, America 3000, and the Time Guardian. I mainly bought it for the Time Guardian because I'm a huge fan of Tom Burlington. I believe I'm saying his name wrong. And he played a Time Guardian sent back to destroy the enemy and save the ultimate planet from peril. Now next up, It Came from Outer Space. This is my all-time favorite here. All-time favorite. And I remember the first time I saw this, uh, I really thought about doing a double feature. So this is the double feature wheel that I did do with them together. And because in my lab I do double features. And I think I had a massive wheel done with this one too, also with the giant claw, Attack of the Crab Monster, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman, Wasp Woman, and very, very unique hand-picked selections that I did for that massive wheel. And ended up jump-starting me into just doing sci-fi all the way around. The Magnetic Monster, another one of my favorites too also, which is cool because it reminded me of an episode off of The Outer Limits. So it's totally badass. Brief look at those classics again. And my Tom Baker collection too also. I'll be briefly going over that too also. And my gigantic 100 greatest hits of sci-fi. Then my Lost in Space collection. Coming up next. All right, guys, so this is the Lost in Space. This is the first box set that I had got. Before I switched over to the one that recently came out, the remastered one. So I'm going to briefly go over those. And here are some of the titles. And the discs. Now, I got this one separate too also. The Unaired Pilot. I'm a huge fan of the show, and I pretty much wanted to have all of them collected, so I pretty much just opted for them. So now we're going to show the remastered collection. All right, guys, so this is the digitally remastered widescreen copy of the Lost in Space. And you see how they got the special bonus Lost in Space Forever and more. And they also threw in the Unaired Pilot too also. I like how they color-coded each one, almost like how they color-coded each one of the discs too also. So it's pretty badass on season 1, season 2. And I got this as a marker to where I left off at, because some of these go off into completing double features. And what I do is I'll bring out the greatest of some of the collection out of the collection, because there were 3 people that actually was in the show that I was kind of like had in a double feature. And the first one was Verta the robot, or the android. And then the second one that made her guest appearance also was Francine York. Then the grandpop from the Munsters. I mean, just about everybody was kind of like almost on this show. And we can't forget the ultimate person who was on the show, who really made the show really rock, was the one who featured in The Day the Earth Stood Still, Michael Rennie. He played as the Keeper. And then the two robots had their duel, which was pretty badass. He was always funny in the show because he always fucked the shit up, and then he would look to Dawn to try to straighten the shit out, and then always would trick her and Will to do whatever they wanted to do. But Wishmacom always wanted to kick his ass, but he didn't. He never kind of wanted to let him kick his ass because every time the Doctor always fucked up. I mean, he fucked up even the beginning of the damn series. He fucked up and took them somewhere else and fucked the whole shit up. Somewhere throughout the middle of the season, the court of the space travelers had a tribunal, and they were brought before the tribunal, and this is already out already. Well, actually, it's no this there, but one of the ones I know that I did have already out already. And then you have seasons 2 and seasons 3. Beautifully done, beautifully done. And then Dawn wanted to kick his ass. So that was crazy because the father wouldn't let him kick Professor Smith's ass. And it was crazy because every time he messed up, Dawn just wanted to just kill his ass. And there was one time where they were going to leave because this guy was fracking up the planet. Arrgh, I say, I'm looking for gold, I say. And he was mining for cosmonium. And the father told Will and Penny, let's move this out of the way, shall we? The father told Will and Penny to get back here because they were going to get ready to leave at 0800 hours. But his ass wanted to have a monument erected in his damn honor as the guy mining for cosmonium. And Don wanted to leave his ass behind, which I thought was very funny. And I think that they should have left his ass because he really fucked this whole damn thing up all the way through this shit. It was always him doing something stupid. You can literally counter him to do something stupid. So we have our Lost in Space guys. I'm a huge fan of the show, and I'm willing and waiting to start a shelf for nothing but sci-fi, and I'm going to have some creatures, well, some figurines, if I can get my hands on Ruta the Android, and make a theme shelf out of the entire shelf of Lost in Space. And everything that you see here is going to be on the shelf. And featured over and over again. So we're going to be moving on now to Star Trek. All right, guys, as for Star Trek, I do have the VHS copy of The Voyage Home. But first and foremost, rest in peace to Lieutenant Uhura. She's no longer with us anymore. It was a great loss there when we lost Lieutenant Uhura. I did a massive wheel for her on my Facebook page as the last call for Lieutenant Uhura. Then we have Star Trek, the motion picture. Then we have Star Trek, the complete series on Blu-ray. As y'all guys can see, I'm a Trekkie. We're gonna go inside and check it out. All right, guys, as our Star Trek is already ready to go. We have all of our contents available. I haven't finished this collection yet because I keep going over other stuff, and I think this is where I left off at with this divider here. So all these from here on back is what I got to check out. Beautifully done. And they also have Star Trek Access Fleet, where you could check out some behind the scenes footage and stills and outtakes onto this. They really did this thing up really good. Star Trek. Okay, guys, now we're entering the ultimate sci-fi classics. We also have some of the classics too, also Tales of Frankenstein and Tales of Tomorrow. The Golden Age of Television, One Step Beyond, Clutch Cargo, Thriller, Shadow, Destination Space, Johnny Jupiter, Invisible Avenger, Tales of Tomorrow, Lights Out, GE Theater, One Step Beyond, featuring John Newland, Flash Gordon, Space Angel, the ultimate when it comes to sci-fi. All right, guys, so now we have our sci-fi classics MillCreek bricks, 50 packs, classic sci-fi, classic sci-fi TV, which you see me show y'all some from out of this brick earlier, and an invasion of sci-fi. This would be the more like the 80s coming up, like 70s, 80s coming up. And I do also have some films from them too also. And we're going to start off with the classic top sci-fi TV series. But first, we're going to go into the ultimate or greatest of the sci-fi classics to show y'all guys what's inside the box from MillCreek. All right, guys, so this is the astronomical collection of sci-fi fiction favorites. And these are some of the features that are on here. 100 of the best. There are a lot that's not on here too. Also, Attack of the 50-Foot Woman is not on here. The Giant Claw is not on here. So I had to purchase them separately. I want them on Blu-ray, so this is why I kind of wanted to upgrade this package. So inside of the book, this is what I have already. Talk about golden age of television, guys. This is like, wow. There's a Tales of Frankenstein. I rolled that for Halloween too also, which is pretty cool too also. At the end, he hits you with the final thought. There's always tomorrow. I thought that was so badass. It's Captain Zero. Destination Space. Thriller. I'm going to get this box set too. Also, the Thriller box set by Boris Koloff. That's going to be my next brick. Stamp Day for Superman. One Step Beyond featuring John Newland. Beautifully done. It's Rocky Jones. One Step Beyond again. The greatest sci-fi collection. You got Rocky Jones again. The Phantom Empire. My favorite was Radar Men from the Moon. I really played a lot of that. So I believe that's Tabor from the Undersea Kingdom. Undersea Kingdom. It's a very, very classic show there. It looks like Tabor. Tales of Tomorrow, my favorite. What You Need is funny too. Also reminds me of a skit from off of Tales from the Dark Side. Lights Out. It's also my favorite. There's Radar Man from the Moon, Commander Cody. That's my favorite. Captain Phantom. Captain Phantom. Also my favorite. And the contents index. So we'll be going over to the next brick. That brick and that brick that we just saw was this one. There's Commander Cody. Radar Man from the Moon. Amazing. All right, so next up, we have the Sci-Fi Classics. Everywhere where you see a check mark at, I turned it into a double feature. Atomic Brain was actually hooked up with The Brain That Wouldn't Die. You guys go back to my wheel on my channel and check out the Ultimate Sci-Fi Classics. I had that hooked up with that. Horror Spider Island, The Wasp Woman, Voyage to Prehistoric Planet, Voyage to the Prehistoric Planet of Women, Kong Island, and Bride of the Gorilla. I had this all hooked up with the Al Adamson collection. Horror of the Blood Monsters, Attack of the Monsters, Gamma the Invincible, Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, which also had that hooked up with the Christmas package, which I'll bring that out when Christmas time comes, which we're not too far from. Teenagers from Outer Space, Rocky Jones, and the Space Rangers, Hercules Against the Moonmen, and Hercules Captive and the Captive Woman, Hercules and the Tyrants of Babylon. I believe that all this was Steve Reeves anyway. Hercules Unchained, The Lost Jungle, and Mesa of Lost Women. Assignment Outer Space, Laser Mission, Killers from Space, Phantom from Space, White Pongo, and the Snow Creature. Sons of Hercules, The Land of Darkness, and Giants of Rome. First Spaceship on Venus. I also had that hooked up too, also on my double feature wheel. And this is what that double feature wheel looked like. All right, here's that double feature wheel where we left off at First Spaceship on Venus. This is the wheel that ran to our voyage to the prehistoric planet of women. Mess of lost women in the jungle. They came from beyond space and the Phantom Planet. So I wrote all these for my friends on my Sci-Fi wheel. Unknown World was really, really nice. I enjoyed this Unknown World. Actually, I enjoyed all of them. Phantom from Space. And there's the first spaceship on Venus. Blood Tide, The Brain Machines, and Prehistoric Woman. Teenagers from Outer Space. Apologize for my handwriting, guys, but I did have a lot of features, and this is also where I took out some features too. Egar, Colossus of the Queens, and War of the Robots, and also War of the Planets. What's a double feature? It moved on to another wheel, and that's that Hercules package. All this was because of the first spaceship on Venus. All right, so then we have the Alpha Incident. The Astral Factor. The Galaxy Invader, Snow Beast. Unknown World. Blood Tide. The Brain Machine. Wild Women of Wantugo, of Mungo. And Prehistoric Women. It came from beyond space. This was a double feature too. Also, that I had this hooked up with. I think it was Attack of the Crab Monster, 50-Foot Woman, and Invaders from Space, and Mission Stardust, and I think it was one more too. Also, oh, War of the Planets. Warning from Space. Now, the Phantom Planet was hooked up with, I decided to do an extra treat and do the Phantom Planet along with Planet of Dinosaurs and Raquel Welch, 1 million BC. And I think there's another one too also that rode with that same one. Miss Egar, Cosmos War of the Planets, and Destroy All Planets. And there's a shot from Teenagers from Outer Space. And this is all from out of this set. Hand-picked out of the set, shall I say. All right, guys, next up, the Sci-Fi Invasion. Now, for this particular set, I also had some separate features that I did roll with this too also, which I'll mention at the end of this segment for the Invasion collection. So War of the Robots is my favorites. Shout out to Bill Paxton too. Also, he also passed away. Rest in peace. He did this one, Slipstream. Night Fright was also my favorite too. Also, Invaders from Space. Escape from Galaxy 3. I think I had this hooked up with I think it was like 2 more features that I had hooked up with Escape from Galaxy 3. I think I had it hooked up with Star Crash and War of the Planets and Cosmos War of the World. So it turned out to be a triple feature. Trapped by Television was good too. Also, I had this hooked up with another feature too also. 100 was hooked up with Raquel Welch. That's why I wrote on here hot, because I had her hooked up with a separate one. So it was like the ultimate. I think it was from off of this one, America 3000 and Eliminators. All this was hooked up with 100. And also had it hooked up with She too also. Now, Mission Stardust was hooked up with Attack of the Killer. No, it was hooked up with Voice of the Prehistoric Planet of Women and Messer of Evil and Cosmos War of the Worlds. Brother from Another Planet was hooked up with another feature. I think I had him hooked up with the Eliminators. Yeah, the Eliminators. Future Women was also hooked up to, also with Raquel Welch. Assassin. Raiders from Atlantis. That's what it was. Raiders from Atlantis was hooked up with this feature here. Space Hunter in the Forbidden Zone. I talk Earther just like you. I don't eat no dog. Are you filthy red ass scavenger? I like this shit. Michael Ironside, all the rest of this shit was rock. I like her. I like her for the maze. It was ultimate. And then I think I had several other features too also hooked up with the same featurette, which was the ultimate package too. Let's make sure I got a shot of that. And then I also had Assassins hooked up with Stormship Troopers. VHS copy. And then Star Trek was hooked up with this one, of course, you know. And then I did the Terminator. I'll be back. So this will be my ultimate Terminator wheel. And I had it with the VHS copy of it. And I'm getting it for 71 cents. I had this for a while, but this sits on my reminder shelf. Those days of the VHS days. How badass Arnold was. I have all of his stuff too also. So I'll be doing a feature too also on my action adventure too also coming up next. So guys, let's stick and stay tuned to my channel. And look out for all the stuff that I have coming. And click that like button and subscribe if y'all like what I do on my channel. Let me know what's going on. Maybe we could talk about some movies. Nemesis. This is also a double pack, Blu-ray and DVD. I also do have Nemesis 1, 2, and 3. Doom. Paul Muad'Dib. And the spice. He who controls the spice controls the Arrakis, or the planet. Gotta have Doom. And then also that one, Social Troopers, was the second one too, also with this one. So I will have that with The other one, so it would look something like this as a feature. Blu-ray, I'm sorry, DVD and VHS. So moving on. Now, Night of the Blood Beast, or they had Galactic too also. I had this hooked up with Bridget Nielsen, and well, this is Bridget Nielsen, and I think it was no, this is a different one. I had her hooked up with another one too. Also, I forgot her name, but I got it on the on my hard drive. I'll show y'all that too also, because I have tons of features on my hard drive too also, because I started backing them up in the early 2007. So I have a massive drive full of nothing but sci-fi. Night of the Blood Beast, I also have a lot of these too also hooked up with Al Adams and stuff like that too also. And there's the Evil Brain from Space. The Giants of Metropolis, I had this hooked up to also with a featurette. Rakis, the Goddess of the Universe. And some of the classics. So I basically have this one. I got this one. I got that one. And I have this one. So I didn't want this. I didn't want that. I didn't want this. And I definitely didn't want that one. From the MillCreek. So, okay, guys, I'm going to add in another treat. My Dark Noir Cinema. Danger, Death, and Dames. Ultimate Brick. Which is some of the greatest from Edward G. Robinson collection. And there's a lot of them, too, also, that I collected individually, too, also. Normally, I do my science fiction theater and my Dark Noir both together. Some of my greatest bricks. So we briefly go over that and show you guys what's inside of the collection and what I do have separately. Alright, so guys, this is the collection of the Dark Noir Cinema from out of the Danger, Death, and Dames. But I'm going to do a quick sidebar here to show y'all one great feature. Too Late for Tears. This is my ultimate favorite film. I'm a huge fan of Elizabeth Scott, and this one for me was the ultimate. That's not inside of this collection here. And I want to briefly talk on this collection, this one here, Too Late for Tears. It became into restoration where they were calling around trying to get a copy of this because it went out of print. And what happened was this film was lost. It ended up in the basement of a drive-in here in my own town, Baltimore. And they were calling around. They found out that a guy who was running a drive-in had a copy of this on a wheel. And so they called him and he answered the phone on the first ring and they go, well, do you have a copy of Too Late for Tears? He said, I think so. So he said, I'll get back to you. So he goes downstairs, he checks it, he finds out that he has a copy of it. So he calls him back and he lets the distributor know, hey, look, I have a copy of it. How much you willing to pay for it? And they started from there. And then the restoration started. So now we have this in our collection. And if it wasn't for that, we would not have a copy of this. So I had to feature this. Too Late for Tears, Elizabeth Scott. Now let's get into the booklet of how this all happened. And this is the artwork, beautifully done. And it's all remastered and all that kind of good stuff. This is beautifully done. This is one of my all-time films. Now, I love a lot of my Dark Noir, especially when it comes to Marie Winsler, Ida Lupino, um, Lauren Bacall, Humphrey Bogart, um, just about everybody, uh, especially Elizabeth Taylor and, you know, all those greats, that kind of made Dark Noir what it was. Betty Davis and Joan Crawford, Joan Blondell, just about a lot of them. I can just go on and on. And that's the poster bill. They did a good job of putting this together. Like I said, guys, we almost didn't have a copy of this, thanks to this guy in the basement of a drive-in, because he runs a drive-in, and he ended up having a copy on a wheel. And they rushed like never tomorrow to put this together to get it reprinted and remastered. And like I said, guys, because of that, we have this film. Other than that, it would have been a lost treasure. Because I think it was a copy, but it wasn't clear enough to make a master off of it, from what I was told. But this one, this guy had, which is this one, it was just clear enough to make a master off of. Some re-edits were done here and there, some pacing over and over, some free fonts, and some scores overdubs, but they made it happen. There's Elizabeth Scott. Beautifully done. Some of the poster art that would have been on the wall at the drive-in when you seen it. What would you do for $60,000? No strings attached. And they had a little thing where you can check your reaction to see what would you do if you had it. I'm a huge fan of Dark Noir, so I had to pretty much do this. Especially in the collection, when you see it like this, it's just like totally awesome. That's when they were arguing about the money. She wanted to keep it. He wanted to get rid of it because he knew it was going to be trouble. And some kind of gangster drove by as they were driving by and threw the case in his car, because they had a convertible, as they were driving. And then there's the money. $60,000. If you can see his reaction, he's like, holy shit, that's a lot of money. And she's like, let's go shopping, because that's what she likes to do. And that's when she got stopped by the police, which was kind of funny because she had the bag in the car, and the police was like, have you seen anything strange? We're looking for a guy, because that's what they were chasing. They were chasing the guy. So instead of him, he didn't want to get caught with the money, so he just dumped it in her convertible. She's riding with the money in the trunk, going back to the hotel where he is. This is how the money ended up on the bed of the hotel, which I thought was very, very funny. And she was shook to shit because she thought it was over for her, and she thought she really got away, which she did, but it was a nice, good tale at the end. I don't want to ruin it for anybody. And this one, she started living comfortably because she had $60,000. And he wanted in on it, son of a bitch. And that's when they came to her hotel after she was living lavishly and decided to roll up on her about it, because this guy knew that she was up to something very, very good, and decided to tail her and follow her around. And this scene that you see here would be her fate. Too late for tears. And that's when she decided to just kill his ass, but, just get rid of him. But it was a little bit too late. He was a little bit one step ahead of her. He actually phoned the police. That's why they got there a little bit early. And as she always says, it's always too late for tears. That's murder in her eyes. And there's the original poster bill too also. She got what she wanted. With lies, with kisses, with murder. And this is an actual true poster. Because all of that did happen. So at least they weren't lying on the poster bills. Because you know how sometimes in the movie theater they lie on the poster bills. And it don't be what it be. But no, this is really the truth. It really did go down the way it was. This is why I love this film, Too Late for Tears. And I had to feature this. Too Late for Tears. As my Noir drive-in. Then also we're going to bring in another one of my favorites too also. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf. I love Elizabeth Taylor. I also do have the rest of hers too also. Cat on a Tin Roof. On a Hot Tin Roof. I also do have Father's Divine. And Last Time I Saw Paris. But I'm a huge fan of both of those two. Richard Burton and her. But this one rocks. I like this one. This is my all-time favorite. And she goes, "You're a flop." He goes, "Well, what is a flop, Martha?" F-L-O-P. Flop. That's you. He goes, "Well, yeah, I'm everything, Martha, to you." He goes, "You know what your problem is? You got no spine. Pour me another drink." And it's crazy. Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf? A dark noir classic. And also another staple that was a remastered copy that I ended up liking later on was The Killer Inside of Me, which made it to the IFC Film Festival. Jessica Alba and Ben Affleck. This is another good starting Grindhouse featurette noir. Beautifully done. The Killer Inside of Me. So we'll start with Edward G. Robinson, just to go over a little bit of his and show you what the brick is like. But I don't want to go into the booklet because there's a lot of them on here. So I'll just show y'all a little bit of what we have featured for this entire lineup. It's also put out through MillCreek. 50-pack. And the detective version. Best of Detectives TVs. Has everybody on here too also. From Dick Tracy to Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Well, actually, Mr. and Mrs. I forgot what the name of it was. Mr. and Mrs. Let's see if we can locate it on here. This damn is jam-packed full of nothing but classics. So I got it on the inside too already, so I'm going to break open the pack and show y'all what it is. Alright guys, it was Mr. and Mrs. North from off of the detective package. So this is all my MillCreek 50 packs, bricks. This has been a bit lengthy live, haven't it, guys? But I want to thank y'all guys for checking me out and liking what I do. And feel free to click that like button. Subscribe to my channel. So we got my season 7 of Doctor Who. I Love My Tom Baker. Season 3. Season 7. And we also have Story 104, Destiny of the Daleks, and Season 1. And this was the greatest bin of all of the classics in Sci. All done. So wow guys, this has really been one really big tutorial as brick after brick just got unrolled. And so I want to thank y'all guys for checking me out and liking what I do. And like I say, feel free to click that like button and subscribe. And when it comes to an ultimate package, when you use the word ultimate, you have to pretty much go all out. And I think I pretty much did. And there will be more unboxings and new featured films coming into my lab as we get a chance to check everything out. So final pan and scan, guys, before we get out of here. I just want to thank all y'all for checking me out. And feel free to leave me some comments on you like what's going on. There'll be more classics to come. My ultimate sci-fi and dark noir classic cinema. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, keep the projector rolling.